What if one of the most mysterious prophecies in the Bible was connected to a real place, a real mountain, and a real geological fault line hidden beneath Jerusalem? For years, rumors have spread across the internet. Videos, photographs, and shocking headlines have claimed that the famous Mount of Olives is beginning to crack open. Some people believe this is the beginning of the prophecy spoken of thousands of years ago in the Book of Zechariah. Others say it is nothing more than internet exaggeration. But what is the truth? Today we journey to one of the most sacred and mysterious places on earth, the Mount of Olives, standing directly east of Jerusalem. A mountain filled with ancient graves, biblical history, hidden mysteries, and powerful prophecies about the return of Jesus Christ. Could this mountain really split in two one day? And if it could, what would it mean for the world? Stay with me until the end, because what scientists discovered beneath this mountain may shock you. The city of Jerusalem has witnessed wars, empires, destruction, and miracles for thousands of years. Kings walked these streets, prophets spoke here, armies fought here, and according to the Bible, some of the greatest future events in human history will also happen here. But among all the hills surrounding Jerusalem, one mountain stands above the rest in both history and prophecy: the Mount of Olives. From here, the view of Jerusalem is breathtaking. The ancient walls of the old city rise before us. The golden dome of the rock shines under the sunlight, and directly in front of us lies the mysterious Eastern Gate, also known as the Golden Gate. This mountain has been connected to biblical prophecy for centuries, and according to Scripture, one extraordinary event will one day happen here. The mountain will split open. The prophecy comes from the Book of Zechariah, chapter 14, one of the most mysterious prophetic passages in the Bible. It describes a future day when the Lord will stand upon the Mount of Olives. Then suddenly, the mountain will split from east to west, creating a massive valley between its two halves. One side will move north, the other will move south, and a path will open directly toward Jerusalem. For centuries, believers have wondered what this prophecy truly means. Is it symbolic, or will it happen literally? Standing here on the Mount of Olives, looking toward the Eastern Gate, it suddenly becomes impossible to ignore how specific this prophecy actually is. The direction mentioned in the Bible matches the geography perfectly. East to west, directly toward Jerusalem. And that raises an even bigger question. Why this mountain? Jerusalem is surrounded by hills and mountains, yet out of all of them, prophecy focuses specifically on the Mount of Olives. The answer is deeply connected to Jesus Christ and two major biblical events. The first connection is the Golden Gate itself. This ancient sealed gate sits directly across from the Mount of Olives. According to Christian tradition, Jesus entered Jerusalem through this area during what is known as the triumphal entry. Crowds welcomed him as king, palm branches covered the road, and people shouted praises as he entered the holy city. But there is another prophecy connected to this gate, found in the Book of Ezekiel. The prophet describes the eastern gate being shut because the glory of God entered through it. According to the prophecy, it would remain closed until the appointed time. And what is fascinating is this: the Golden Gate has indeed been sealed shut for centuries. No one enters through it. Many believers see this as deeply connected to the future return of Christ. The second prophecy connected to this mountain takes us to one of the most important locations in Christian history, a place many people overlook: the place of the Ascension. Not far from the viewpoint stands a small, ancient structure known as the Chapel of the Ascension. According to ancient Christian tradition, this is the place where Jesus ascended into heaven 40 days after the resurrection. Pilgrims have visited this site for nearly 2,000 years. Even some of the earliest Christian travelers wrote about this location. Long before modern churches existed here, believers gathered on this hill to remember the ascension of Christ. Inside the chapel is an exposed section of stone believed by tradition to be part of the original summit of the Mount of Olives. For centuries, people have stood here imagining that incredible moment: Jesus blessing his disciples, the sky opening above him, and then ascending into heaven before their eyes. But what happened next is even more important. The Book of Acts tells us that while the disciples stared into the sky, two angels appeared and delivered a message. This same Jesus, who has been taken from you into heaven, will come back in the same way you have seen him go. That single statement changed everything. Because according to Christian belief, if Jesus ascended from the Mount of Olives, then he will also return here. And suddenly, the prophecy in Zechariah becomes even more powerful. The Mount of Olives is not just another hill in Jerusalem. It is connected to the ascension of Christ, the return of Christ, and the opening of the Eastern Gate. 3 prophecies, 1 mountain, 1 future event. And as we walk down this ancient path toward Jerusalem, we begin to understand why so many people are fascinated by this place. The Temple Mount stands before us. This sacred area once held the first temple built by Solomon, and later the second temple that stood during the time of Jesus. Today, the Dome of the Rock rises above the ancient stones, making this one of the most spiritually significant locations on Earth for billions of people. But beneath all the beauty and history lies tension, mystery, and unanswered questions. Many believe the future of the world is somehow connected to this city, and perhaps nowhere is that feeling stronger than here on the Mount of Olives. As we continue down the slope, another striking sight appears before us. Thousands upon thousands of graves, an enormous ancient cemetery covering the mountainside. This is one of the oldest Jewish cemeteries in the world, with burials stretching back nearly 3,000 years. Kings, rabbis, prophets, and ordinary people have all been buried here. But why? Why would so many people choose to be buried on this specific mountain? The answer once again points back to prophecy. According to Jewish belief, when the Messiah comes and the resurrection of the dead begins, those buried on the Mount of Olives will rise first. That belief has drawn generations of people to this mountain, hoping to rest in the place closest to redemption. Imagine that. For thousands of years, people have chosen this exact hillside because they believed history itself would one day change here. And while walking among these ancient tombs, something else begins to catch our attention: cracks, broken pavement, splits along the pathways. Images like these have exploded across social media. Some claim they are signs that the mountain is already beginning to open. Videos online speak dramatically about prophecy being fulfilled before our eyes. But are these really signs of the mountain splitting? The truth is more complicated. Experts who studied the area explain that many visible cracks are caused by poor maintenance, aging infrastructure, erosion, and weather damage rather than deep geological activity. In recent years, reduced maintenance due to political tensions, economic difficulties, and regional conflicts has worsened the condition of the roads and pathways. So no, the mountain is not currently splitting apart before our eyes, at least not yet. But surprisingly, scientists say the prophecy itself may not be impossible at all. And this is where the story becomes truly fascinating. During geological studies conducted in the region, scientists discovered something shocking about the Mount of Olives. The mountain is not made from strong, stable stone like much of Jerusalem. Instead, much of it consists of soft chalk and fragile layers of sediment. That may not sound important at first, but it changes everything. Chalk is weak, it erodes easily, and when exposed to water, it can become dangerously unstable. Researchers discovered that beneath the surface are different geological layers. Some are relatively solid, but others are soft and almost clay-like in behavior. One particular layer becomes dramatically weaker when wet. This means the entire mountainside is naturally vulnerable. And there is more. Very close to Jerusalem runs one of the most famous fault systems in the Middle East, connected to the Dead Sea Transform fault line. This massive tectonic system stretches through the region and has produced powerful earthquakes throughout history. In fact, historical records show that devastating earthquakes have struck Jerusalem and surrounding areas many times over thousands of years. Ancient cities collapsed, walls cracked, entire regions were shaken violently, and according to geological studies, smaller fault branches extend near the Mount of Olives itself. Even more intriguing is the orientation of these fault lines, east to west, the same direction described in the prophecy. Now, this does not prove that Zechariah predicted tectonic activity, but it does reveal something remarkable. The exact location described in biblical prophecy happens to be geologically vulnerable. Scientists have even mapped sections of the Mount of Olives as high-risk zones during major seismic events. That means if a significant earthquake struck the region, the Mount of Olives could experience severe damage or landslides. Meanwhile, parts of Jerusalem built on harder limestone might remain more stable. Suddenly, the ancient prophecy no longer sounds impossible, and whether someone views this through faith, science, or both, it is undeniably fascinating. Could a future earthquake dramatically alter this mountain? Absolutely. Could it happen exactly as the prophecy describes? No scientist can answer that. But the possibility itself is enough to capture the imagination of millions around the world. Because this mountain is not just rock and soil, it represents expectation, hope, fear, faith, and the belief that history may not be finished yet. Standing here as the sun begins to lower over Jerusalem, the atmosphere feels almost timeless. The call to prayer echoes through the city. Church bells ring in the distance. Ancient walls glow under the fading light, and the Mount of Olives watches silently over it all, just as it has for thousands of years. Empires have risen and fallen beneath this mountain. Babylonians came, Romans came, Crusaders came, kings marched here, prophets walked here, Jesus himself prayed here, and through every generation, the prophecy remained, waiting. Some people dismiss these prophecies completely. Others watch every crack in the ground, convinced the end is near. But perhaps the deeper mystery is not simply whether the mountain will split. Perhaps the real mystery is why humanity has remained fascinated by this prophecy for so long. Maybe it is because deep down, people sense that history is moving towards something greater, something final, something beyond human control. The Mount of Olives reminds us that Jerusalem is unlike any other city on earth. For billions of people, this is not merely geography, it is sacred ground, a place where heaven and earth seem to touch, a place where the past and the future collide. And whether the prophecy happens tomorrow, 1,000 years from now, or in a way nobody expects, one thing is certain. The Mount of Olives will continue to stand at the center of one of the most mysterious and powerful prophecies ever written. So, is the Mount of Olives cracking open right now? No, there is currently no evidence that the prophecy is unfolding at this moment. But is the mountain geologically vulnerable? Yes. Could a major earthquake one day reshape this area dramatically? Absolutely. And that is what makes this story so compelling. An ancient prophecy written thousands of years ago, connected to a real place, with real geological instability beneath it. Coincidence? prophecy, or something far deeper? That is for you to decide. As night falls over Jerusalem, the city begins to glow beneath the darkening sky. The ancient stones shine gold under the lights. The Mount of Olives grows quiet, and somewhere in the silence, the prophecy still waits. Maybe one day this mountain will split exactly as written. Maybe a great valley will open before Jerusalem. Maybe the eastern gate will open once again. And maybe the world will witness events beyond anything humanity has ever imagined. But until that day comes, the mystery of the Mount of Olives continues to inspire wonder, debate, fear, and faith across the world. And honestly, that may be what makes this place so unforgettable. A mountain suspended between history and prophecy, between science and belief, between earth and eternity. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into biblical prophecy, ancient mysteries, and the hidden secrets of Jerusalem, make sure you subscribe to Sacred Depth for more powerful videos like this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with someone who loves biblical mysteries and end-time prophecies. And tell me in the comments, do you believe the Mount of Olives prophecy will happen literally one day? Or do you think it is symbolic? Until next time, stay curious, stay watchful, and keep exploring the mysteries hidden within the ancient world.